I hope you're ready for some crock-pot recipes because that's what I'm sharing today. Now, you know they're going to be absolutely delicious, but even better, they only require about 5 ingredients. And we're not counting seasonings over here. Hey y'all, I'm Valerie and welcome to my kitchen. In today's video, I'm sharing 5 new crock-pot recipes that you do not want to miss out on. Okay y'all, let's get started. This cheesy sausage and tortellini ended up being a new favorite for us. You'll need a 14-ounce package of smoked sausage, and I cut those into coins and then cut each of those pieces in half. Now this is optional, but my crock pot does have a stovetop setting, so I sauteed mine over medium-high heat until it was golden brown. Then I added in 3 handfuls of fresh baby spinach, followed by a 19-ounce bag of frozen cheese tortellini. You're also going to add an 8-ounce block of softened cream cheese, and I did cut mine into pieces, that way it melts down easier. I also added 1 can of mild Rotel, 2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese, and I used a combination of cheddar and mozzarella. Then you're going to pour over 3 cups of low sodium chicken broth. Now you're going to give all that a stir until it's combined. And I almost forgot to add the seasonings. You're going to add salt and pepper to taste and 1.5 tablespoons of Italian seasoning. And if you want to throw in a little crushed red pepper flakes, you can. Okay, now you're going to give this a final stir until it's combined, and you want to make sure that tortellini is submerged in that liquid. Now I'm switching it from stovetop over to the slow cooker setting, and I'm going to cook this on low for about 5 hours. You just want to let it cook until that tortellini is completely cooked through and tender. Now if you want to serve it just like this, that is totally fine. But I wanted to thicken up that sauce. So for that, I just made a slurry. I just mixed together 1 tablespoon of cornstarch and 1 tablespoon of water. You're going to mix that until all the lumps are gone and then add it right into the crock pot there. But you do want to give it a really good stir just to make sure it's well combined. And then I just pop the lid back on and let it continue to cook for about 15 minutes until the sauce is thickened. And it does thicken up a little more after it sits for a little bit. But if you want to thicken it up even more, you can just double that slurry. This was absolutely delicious. And if you don't like spinach, you can leave that out, but this is a must try, especially if you're a fan of kielbasa. These awesome sauce chicken sandwiches are just about the easiest thing to make. To my slow cooker, I added 4 boneless, skinless chicken breasts. And on top of that, you're going to add about 2/3 of a cup of honey mustard dressing. And I'll tell you, I eyeballed most of this. It does not have to be perfect. You're also going to add 2/3 cup of teriyaki sauce. Now the recipe called for thick teriyaki sauce, but this is what I used and it turned out just fine. And the recipe called for 2/3 cup of hot sauce, but I just did 1/3 cup of that. See, you just have to make these recipes your own. And if I add something you think your family's not going to like, just substitute it with something they will like. Now we're going to cook this on low for 4 to 6 hours. You just want to let it cook until that chicken is completely cooked through. Then I removed it to a separate plate, and that chicken was so tender it was just falling apart. Now I shredded my chicken and then I added it right back into the crock pot there. If you want to dice yours up, you can do that too. And then I gave it a really good mix until it was completely covered in that sauce. Now you can serve this however you like, but I made some chicken sandwiches with it. And I did add a little more honey mustard to the top just because we love honey mustard. And I just kept this simple and served it with some baked beans and some good old Lay's potato chips. This taco chicken and rice was a winner. To the crock pot, I'm adding 1 can of Rotel, and I did not drain that. You're also going to add in 1 can of cream of chicken soup. And Campbell's does make an unsalted cream of chicken soup, just in case you're watching your sodium. Now I'm adding in 1 packet of taco seasoning. And mine is reduced sodium here, only because that's what I grabbed out of the pantry. Now you're going to mix all this together or whisk it together until it's well combined. Now you're going to add in 1.5 to 2 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken. And I did flip mine around in there just to get it covered in that sauce. You just want to get a little coating of that flavor on all sides. Now you're going to put the lid on and let it cook on low for 5 to 6 hours, or just until that chicken is cooked through. And when this is just about done, we're going to move over to the stovetop and make up the rice. I'm using a 7.6 ounce box of Old El Paso cheesy Mexican rice. And we're just going to make this up according to the directions on the back of the box. I added butter, water, and rice, and that little seasoning packet that came in the box. And like I said, just cook it per package directions. By the way, if you're new and you haven't already clicked that subscribe button, I would really love to have you here. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. That way you get notified of all my future videos. And I have some coming that you do not want to miss out on. Okay, when that rice is done, you're going to remove it from the heat and head over to the crock pot with it. And I could have probably let my rice go for a little bit longer, but I was in a hurry. Okay, that chicken is completely cooked through. You're going to remove it to a separate bowl, shred it, or dice it, and add it back to the crock pot. Now you're going to add in that cooked, cheesy Mexican rice. Now all that's left to do is give it one last really good stir, and then this taco chicken and rice is ready to serve. I just topped ours with some sour cream and shredded cheddar cheese, and I served some buttered corn on the side. This would also be really good wrapped up in a burrito, I think. But I know it'll be delicious any way you decide to serve it. I just love how easy it is to make, and it's very kid-friendly. These nacho cheese meatballs are definitely something you have to try. You'll need a 32-ounce bag of frozen home-style meatballs. I don't think the Italian style will work in this. Now, this is optional, but someone had mentioned browning these up in a skillet on the stove top, just until they were a little browned. Oh, and I do have a couple tablespoons of oil in there. Now, I let mine get a little too brown, but they were still good. Okay, now we're going to head over to the crock pot with them. And like I said, that was optional, so if you want to, you can just add the frozen meatballs straight into the crock pot there. Now, on top of those meatballs, you're going to add in 1 can of drained Rotel, followed by 1 packet of taco seasoning. Now here comes the nacho cheese part. You're going to add in 16 ounces of cubed Velveeta cheese, like the melting cheese that comes in the block. Then you're going to pour over 1 cup of heavy cream. Now you're going to put the lid on, and you can cook this on high for 3 hours, or you can do like me and cook it on low for 4 to 5. You're really just cooking it until the meatballs are completely cooked through. And that is it. When they're done, you're going to give them a really good stir, and then these nacho cheese meatballs are ready to serve. And that sauce does thicken up after it sits for a little bit, but if you want to thin it out, you can just add a little more milk. And you can serve these however you like, but I served ours over some cheesy rice. Oh, and I will say I did like browning those meatballs before I added them to the crock pot. But just keep in mind that's optional. And if you're not a fan of frozen meatballs, you can make your own homemade. This sauce will be delicious on them. And this is something I'll be making again and again and again. This French onion chicken is perfect to make if you want something easy and delicious. In my crock pot, I added a couple tablespoons of butter along with 1 sliced onion. And I set mine to the saute function and I let it cook until that onion was tender. Then I added in 3 boneless skinless chicken breasts, 1 can of cream of chicken soup, and that didn't come out like I wanted it to there, so I had to make sure I got it all. Now over the top of that, you're going to sprinkle 1 packet of dry Lipton onion soup mix. Or if you like me, use the Great Value brand. And you can season this however you like, but I just added some pepper. Now if you want a thicker sauce, don't add anything else, but if you want a thinner sauce, add half a cup of chicken broth. And I set this to cook on low for 5 to 6 hours. Or just however long it takes for that chicken to be completely cooked through. And when this was done, I'll tell you, I was going to remove the chicken to a separate plate to shred, but it was so tender it was just falling apart. So I just shredded it with my little meat masher there. Mix it all together and that's it. This is ready to serve. And you could serve this over rice, you could serve it over noodles, but I served mine over some homemade mashed potatoes. And I just made some green peas to go on the side. Now this is one that we all loved. It was so good. The kids loved it. The leftovers are absolutely delicious. And it was super easy to make. It'll be good for any night of the week. I really hope you enjoyed this video. You may also like these. Don't forget to subscribe down below for more easy recipes, and I will see you in the next one.